But the next truly tangible triumph was not until February 1981 at this magnificent Melbourne cricket ground. Here in the 1977-78 series, India had recorded their first ever victory in a test match in Australia. This time in 1981, India arrived at the MCG for the final test in a three-test series, having already lost the first test at Sydney quite comprehensively. And to their added disappointment, they lost the toss here and were put into bat on a pretty unpredictable wicket.
We played on the ground, I think, a couple of times that season. The wicket that we were presented for that game against India in the test match was vastly different in that it had a lot more moisture and it had some more grass. Not a lot of grass, but some more grass. From a wicket that was totally bare, it now had some grass in uneven patches, which was again going to affect the way that the ball behaved. If it hit the grassy patches, it would probably bounce normally. If it hit the bare patches, anything could happen. As it was wet, it might stick and stand up at you, or it might just stay down. So it just added another variable, and with that in mind, I elected to bowl first.
We had gone to Melbourne hoping to win the toss, because we'd seen how the wicket had behaved in the other matches earlier on. And therefore we were keen to win the toss and bat first. But we were very pleasantly surprised that Greg Chappell asked us to bat. So, in fact, not winning the toss didn't really make much of a difference.
Greg Chappell to Vishwanath. That's fine stroke. He's very strong in that area. Very good cutter, Vishwanath. And only the second boundary of the morning. A classic stroke there, back cut. Lilly to Patil.
What a shot, straight down the ground. Beautiful shot by Sandeep Patil. Wasn't a bad delivery from Dennis Lilly.
Sandeep Patil had been playing splendid attacking strokes and playing them with intelligence and discretion. But Lilly and Marsh outthought him here with this tempting bouncer.
Goes the hook and he's out. Yes, well bowled Dennis Lilly, kept it up. He's got one in
Kicks
short.
to Kiamani. It's the flipper, but too short. Harshly dealt with by Kiamani. Takes 4 runs from it.
Well, that's cut away, and Vishwanath's always been pretty strong in that area. And once again, getting that ball off the middle of the bat. It was a little bit uppish. And see if we can pick up this time the roll of the wrist over the top of the ball. There it goes, and once again there's a big appeal. He's given him out. Yes, it succeeded for him. A magnificent leg cutter. The ball pitching just around the bat off stump, perhaps just outside, leaving the bat, finding the edge of Kiamani's bat and going through to Rod Morris. What a fantastic bowl.
And perfectly described Tony Gregg. We watched Dennis Lilly come in. He's working on that seam, and over go the fingers. And the ball pitching, just cutting away from Kiamani, finding the outside edge, and look at the jubilance in Dennis Lilly as he goes down the wicket. Vishwanath faces Jim Higgs. Field in very close, looking to cut off that single.
And he finds a gap, beats cover, and that's 4 runs and well played, Vishy. A fine hand. Came in when the score was 2 for 22, showed a lot of courage and some glorious straight play. A generous round of applause, standing ovation for the outer, and a lot of courage in that century. Been struggling all summer.
Vishwanath, the hero of the Indian innings, and the wicket the Australians needed so much at this stage. And that's out, I'd say inside edge. Inside edge on a pad and on to slip. That's the way it seemed to be from here. Whether Vishwanath is entirely delighted about it, I don't know.
He doesn't appear to be, but he's rather unemotional. Perhaps we can judge the better. And this ball from Yardley turning and clipping the pad. It almost seemed that that ball passed between bat and pad.
The wicket was difficult, but you know, it was a typical Vishwanath innings where he made it look as if he was batting on the best of wickets. He had all the time in the world to play the quicks, and he just simply fooled around with the spinners.
Great stroke. Splendid way to bring up the half-century for Greg Chappell. Shivlal Yadav to Alan Border.
Spinners from round the wicket to Chappell. Straight back to him, Scenario is gone. Caught and bowled by Garvey. Well, my goodness. Chappell losing concentration for just a half second there, smashing it back down the ground. And Garvey never at any stage looked as if he was going to drop that.
Shivlal Yadav to Alan Border. Very nicely timed stroke away down to the fine leg fence, and Alan Border goes into the 70s. Shivlal Yadav concentrating on his leg stump.
The drive, and he's got it through the gap, and I think they'll get 3 here. This will be his 100. It's a fine shot. It's rolling away out towards the boundary, and it's going to be 4. So Alan Border's century. And what a good century it's been when you consider that he's had a tough season. The crowd there on their feet applauding what has been a very, very good knock by him. Fighting every yard of the way. 101 to Alan Border. A welcome return to the Century Club for Alan Border in tests.
Sandeep Patil to Doug Walters.
That's well played. Right off the back foot there and placing that ball very, very well. Hitting it down the ground, just past the stumps at the bowler's end, and 4 runs to him. Very well timed too.
Shivlal Yadav now to Alan Border. This is rather an anticlimax to a very good innings, but it certainly is a brilliant piece of umpiring. Well, they're appealing for Bowl there. Well, Shivlal's appealing. Didn't see much from Kiamani. Have a little look at it now.
Well, that's definitely bounced off the keeper's pads.
And Border is given out. Given out bowled. And the umpire at the bowler's end was quite right. He couldn't possibly have seen it, and he needed to refer it to the umpire at square leg. No great excitement there, but we'll have another look at the side-on shot in a moment. And I think you'll see that the ball strikes the leg stump very faintly, but it does strike it. No question that that is out bowled, and the umpire at the bowler's end did the right thing. He spoke to the umpire at square leg, and no question of that. The ball bounced back, in fact. Doshi to Walters.
Oh, he's gone. The little left hand has got through him. Walters coming down to drive. Fine piece of work by Kiamani. And finally, Dilip Doshi strikes, and at a vital time for India. A good wicket.
Well, great concentration by Kiamani. Waiting all this time for that stumping. The ball looked as though it may have been going to hit the stumps, and Kiamani's gloves were there. Walters coming down, looking for the single. He really didn't go after it in the normal Walters fashion. A good piece of work by Kiamani, just removing the bails.
We lost early wickets, I think, from memory, and then Alan Border and myself, and then Alan and Doug Walters with the bulk of the runs. And Alan's innings of 120-odd was an excellent innings because of the commitment to making sure that we had a big lead.
Dennis Lilly to Gavaskar. And Gavaskar will take full toll of anything that's loose.
That's the sort of form that you expect from this great batsman.
Higgs to Chauhan. And there's that stroke again. One thing he may have to do is pull Alan Border across a bit straighter there in that short cover position. Yardley to Gavaskar.
Oh, and he's pulled it out, and this time he's got hold of it. A magnificent hit down through long on. rush of blood, possibly, but he moves on to 49, realising that India need runs if they're going to win this match, as well as occupying the crease.
That one played off the face of the bat, run away down to third man, and that'll be 4. And that's Chetan Chauhan's 50.
This season may well be remembered as the summer of controversy, and it seems from this episode that the summer hasn't yet finished.
The kick away, that's close. That time he's got him, playing back. The Indian captain, not happy, saying that he may have hit that. What's going on? He's saying, please, please, what a tour. Gavaskar suggesting that he got a thick edge onto that delivery. The man who's walked so often this series, very annoyed with that decision. Pleading with Dennis Lillee, asking that he hit that ball. Let's have a look at it on replay.
Well, it's a very upset Gavaskar. That ball keeping low. He was very determined about the fact, or very definite about the fact that he had hit it. And it's an annoyed man, and he's still not prepared to leave the ground.
And, well, what a sensation, Ian. Cutting in there, he's taking his opening bat off with him. Does that mean he's declared? Or conceded the match? Surely not. Have a rethink, Sunil. When he gets in the calm of the dressing room, I'm quite sure that his teammates will come back, but he's a very, very annoyed captain. An LBW decision, the Australian players in a circle. The Indian captain taking his partner off the field.
Well, let's also remember that now takes Dennis Lillee to 248 wickets. And I think we've got the wing commander, the manager, wing commander, and he is telling Chauhan to stay there and sending Venkateswarlu out. So that's a good move there on behalf of the manager of the Indian side, and it's a very upset Gavaskar who leaves the ground.
And we're going to have a listen with our audio full up in this defensive prod. I couldn't really tell, to be quite honest, but certainly I'd take Gavaskar's word that he thought he hit that ball.
I agreed with the umpiring decision. It was the first time in the series that Sunil had made runs. He'd had a fairly disappointing series for himself, and I think a very frustrating series. I think he believed that he'd had a number of decisions that were indifferent, and he believed on this occasion that the decision was wrong. The way he indicated with the bat was that he felt that he'd hit the ball before it made contact with his pads. I was in a difficult position at first slip to tell whether he'd made contact, but instinct tells you when some things are more likely to happen than not. I felt that it was unlikely that he'd made contact with the bat first, but it wasn't my position to give the decision. The umpire had given the decision. Sunil was very disappointed, I think frustrated because of low scores throughout the series. The first time he looked like playing well and doing something for his team, he was nipped in the bud, in his opinion. And I think the frustration of it all just built up, and he snapped.
I wasn't out then, and I don't think it makes a difference now, because it was a thick inside edge onto the pads. But I now know, looking back now, that I shouldn't have done what I did, because I just got excited. And again, let me say, I got excited about the fact that it was a bad decision. I was walking off by myself, angry, but only after I'd gone about 15-20 yards towards the pavilion, and when one of the Australian fielders said something very typically Australian, let me say, that I got back to Chetan Chauhan, who was a non-striker, and asked him to. I think up until that particular moment when I was called some names, I think I would have just gone into the pavilion, broken a bat or something, but that's the worst I could have done. Not what I actually tried to do after I heard that and lost my head.
And that's out. That's what India didn't need, a short pitch. Chetan Chauhan, and the record for Dennis Lillee.
Lillee to Doshi. Oh, well, that ran along the ground, the same as Yashpal Sharma's. 143 to win Australia now.
Doshi can't believe it, and he leaves the ground. India are 9 for 324.
Up the thigh pad, he gives it out. Dear, oh dear. Well, it's been tough on umpires this summer, but if John Dyson hit that, I'll go he.
Greg Chappell has had some tense moments at the start of some of his recent innings, and here today, facing his first ball from Garbary, there's not the slightest need to consult the umpire.
Oh, there's a big shot. He's bowled him round his legs. What a sensation at the moment. Cricket ground. Chappell put it too far across. Bowled without scoring, and what a match now.
Oh, he's bowled him. What a great delivery by Dilip Doshi. That was fantastic bowling. My goodness, a quicker ball there, keeping low. Hughes making the mistake of trying to cut off the back foot, and he was bowled hook, line and sinker.
Oh, well. Bouchard gets 2 on the trot. That one keeping even lower than the first. Border faces Kapil Dev.
Chance, yes, he's got him. A fine deflection. Border standing, but there was a deflection there, and well caught by Kimani. The Indians pointing to the dressing room. Yashpal Sharma said, off you go. And it's 6 for 55. Bowled him round his legs. Yes, the ball keeping low. Marsh too far across. Not the best shot I've ever seen from Rodney Marsh, but persistence for Kapil Dev. Australia 7 for 61.
Dilip Doshi to Walters.
Walters gets that one, gets hold of it. Bowled him, trying to drive down the ground, and Kapil Dev gets 4. A fine performance. Queen bowls Dennis Louis. It's close. He's out, and victory for India. Look at those Indians. Well bowled, Kapil Dev.
So 143 was definitely gettable, but it would have been easier in some ways if we had 200 odd to get, I think, because 143 is that sort of in-between area where we knew in the back of our minds that we should get them, but if we lost early wickets it was going to put the pressure on, and I think that was a culmination of events, the frustration of the conditions, the fact that we lost early wickets, and the fact that we knew, A, that we should get the runs, and B, that getting the runs was going to be difficult if we lost early wickets. You had that doubt in the back of your mind, and I think a little bit of panic probably set in around the middle order. Had we been able to steady, even having lost 3 early wickets, if we'd been able to steady then, I think we probably would have got them. But the Indian side sensed that they had a chance. Kapil Dev particularly bowled very well. He bowled at good pace, in line with the stumps, and I think from memory the majority of the wickets fell bowled or LBW, which is indicative of the fact that the wicket played at two heights, low and very low.
I think the Australians panicked after they lost Greg Chappell, and when the next morning they lost 2 quick wickets, Kim Hughes and Bruce Yardley, the night watchman. I think they were really in a state. We were still not sure because Alan Border was there, Rodney Marsh, and we didn't have a big score to defend. But they all went quite cheaply, and we won.
A great performance that, and a significant advance for Indian cricket. In the first test of that series at Sydney, Sandeep Patil was hit a sickening blow on the head by a Lenny Pascoe bouncer.
Very short indeed, and Patil, I would think, hit just above the left eye, or possibly on the left temple.
But Patil defiantly hit back in the very next test at Adelaide with a superlative 100.
He's hit that through extra cover, not wasting any time at all. That ball going away down towards the boundary. And Sandeep Patil